The bathroom mirror has been moved. Not much, maybe 2 degrees, just enough to reflect a different corner of the room instead of the one it used to face. I live alone. I haven't touched it, and I've been standing here for 20 minutes trying to figure out when my reflection started looking back at me wrong. My name is Nora. I'm 29. I work as a nurse on the overnight shift at a hospital about 20 minutes from my apartment. 3 nights a week, sometimes 4. Lately, it's been 5. We're understaffed. Someone's always out sick, someone's always quitting, someone's always asking me to cover. And I always say yes because I need the money, and I don't know how to say no. This is my 3rd consecutive shift without a real break. I've slept maybe 9 hours total in the last 72. Not consecutively, in chunks. An hour here, 2 hours there. My body is running on adrenaline and caffeine and something I can't name anymore. The kind of tired where you stop being able to tell the difference between what's real and what your brain is manufacturing to keep itself entertained. That's important. That's why I didn't leave when I should have. Because I kept telling myself it was just the exhaustion. I moved into this apartment 6 months ago. It's a 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor of an old building. 1 shared wall with the neighbor. I've never met them. The neighbor, I mean. I've heard them through the wall. Footsteps, a television that plays the same channel at the same volume every night, sometimes a cough. But they've never introduced themselves. Sometimes I wonder if anyone actually lives there at all. The first week I was here, I noticed something strange. There was a photograph on the bedroom dresser. I assumed the previous tenant left it. A framed picture of a wedding. Bride and groom. Normal. Happy. But someone had cut one of the faces out. Carefully. Surgically. The frame had been resealed afterward. Not torn. Cut. With something sharp. And whoever did it wanted to make sure the rest of the photo stayed intact. I told myself it was probably an ex-girlfriend or something. A broken relationship. Someone didn't want to look at their ex's face anymore. I put the photo in a drawer and forgot about it. I should not have forgotten about it. The first sign of trouble came about 3 weeks ago. I was getting ready for work around 11 at night, brushing my teeth, tired, not paying attention. And I glanced up at the mirror. Something was wrong. Not obviously wrong. Not a monster or a ghost or anything dramatic, just the mirror was reflecting a different part of the bathroom than it used to. I know that sounds like nothing, but I've lived in this apartment for 6 months. I know where the mirror faces. I know which corner of the room I see when I look up from the sink. That corner had changed. I told myself I must have bumped it, brushed against it while cleaning, knocked it slightly without noticing. I adjusted it back to where it belonged, went to work, didn't think about it again. The next night, it had moved again, not back to where I put it. Somewhere new, somewhere that didn't make sense. The mirror was now angled to show the bathroom door, the closed bathroom door. The one I always keep closed because I don't like looking at the dark hallway while I'm brushing my teeth. I stood there for a long time, staring at the reflection of that closed door. And I could have sworn I saw the handle turn. Just a little. Just enough to make me take a step backward. But when I turned around to look at the actual door, not the reflection, it was still closed. Still locked. Nothing. Exhaustion, I told myself. Sleep deprivation. My brain was filling in gaps that weren't there. I'd read about this. Auditory and visual hallucinations are common after 72 hours of inadequate rest. I was fine. The mirror was fine. Everything was fine. The next morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize my own face for a moment. Not that my face had changed. Not that something else was there. Just my mind read a different name where my name should be. I looked into my own eyes, and for maybe half a second I thought, "You're not Nora." And then the moment passed, and I was myself again. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone else had been looking out through my eyes, just for a moment. Just long enough to try on my face like a coat. I went to work. I did my job. I came home. I slept. I pretended nothing had happened. Last night was different. I got home from the hospital at around 7 in the morning. Exhausted. The kind of exhausted where your bones feel like they're made of wet cardboard. I made myself something to eat. Watched television for an hour without really seeing it. Went to bed around 9. I woke up at 2 in the afternoon. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. I walked to the bathroom. The door was open. I always close it. I always close it because I don't like looking at the dark hallway. The door was open. And the mirror had been moved again. But this time, it wasn't angled at the door. It was angled at me. Directly at me. And my reflection was half a second behind. I waved my hand. My reflection waved back, but late, delayed, like it was watching me from far away and the signal was taking time to travel. I stepped closer. My reflection stepped closer, but half a second later, I stopped. My reflection stopped. Too late. It kept moving for just a fraction of a second after I had already frozen. I stood there, staring. My reflection stared back. But its eyes were different. Not my eyes. Someone else's eyes, looking out through my face. I blinked. When my eyes opened again, my reflection had moved. It was closer to the glass than I was, pressed against the other side. And it was smiling. I was not smiling. I told myself it was a trick of the light, the exhaustion, the sleep deprivation. My mind was playing games. But I couldn't make myself believe it. Not that time. Not with the smile. Not with the way its breath was fogging the glass from the other side when I wasn't close enough to fog anything. I did something stupid. I closed my eyes. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would reset something. Maybe I thought when I opened them again, everything would be normal. I kept them closed for maybe 10 seconds, maybe 15. When I opened them, my reflection was gone. Not moved. Not delayed. Gone. The mirror showed the bathroom behind me. The sink. The shower curtain. The closed door. Everything except me. I heard a sound behind me. A footstep. On the tile floor. I turned around. Nothing. Empty bathroom. The door was still closed. I was alone. But the tile was warm. Right where someone would have been standing. Right behind me. I didn't look at the mirror again. I walked out of the bathroom. I closed the door. I sat on my couch and I didn't move for 2 hours. I called out of work. First time in 3 years. Told them I was sick. I wasn't sick. I was scared. I went back to the bathroom at around 6 in the evening. The sun was still up. Light was coming through the window. I told myself that would make a difference. It didn't. My reflection was back. But it was wrong. It was wearing different clothes than I was wearing. A different shirt, a different color. And it wasn't looking at me. It was looking at something behind me. Something in the corner of the bathroom. When I turned around to look, nothing. Empty corner. But when I looked back at the mirror, my reflection was smiling again. And it pointed. I haven't slept since then. I went back to work last night because I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't stay in that apartment. I couldn't look at that mirror anymore. My supervisor asked if I was okay. I said yes. She said I looked different, more rested, more like myself. I told her I'd finally gotten some sleep. That was a lie. I've been sitting in my car for the past hour. I don't want to go back inside, but I have nowhere else to go. I keep thinking about that photograph, the one with the face cut out. I took it out of the drawer this morning, looked at it in the daylight. The bride is wearing a dress. The groom is wearing a suit. Their faces are happy. But I recognize the dress. I've seen it before. I wore that dress. In a dream I can't quite remember, standing in front of a mirror, smiling at someone who looked exactly like me. I don't know who cut that face out of the photograph. I don't know if it was me or someone else, or something that wanted me to find it. But I know one thing. When I looked in the mirror this morning, before I left the apartment, I didn't see my face. I saw hers. The woman in the photograph, the one whose name I keep almost remembering. And she wasn't trapped behind the glass anymore. She was standing where I was standing, looking out at the room. And I was the one on the other side. I'm going back inside now. I don't have a choice. My shift starts in 6 hours. I need to sleep. But I'm not going to close my eyes, not all the way, because I know what happens when I do. She steps out. She's been practicing. She's getting faster. And one of these nights, maybe tonight, I'm going to open my eyes and she's not going to be in the mirror anymore. She's going to be in my bed, in my uniform, at my job, living my life. And I'm going to be wherever she came from, trapped behind the glass, watching someone else wear my face, wondering if anyone will notice the difference, wondering if anyone ever did. I want to tell you about something that happened to me last winter. Not because I think you'll believe me. I barely believe it myself. And I lived through it. But I've been sitting here for the past 4 hours, and I've realized something. I don't have anyone else to tell. My name is Alex. I was 26 at the time, working as a content moderation contractor from home. You know the job. Watching videos and flagging things so normal people don't have to see them. I worked the overnight shift because it paid an extra $7 an hour, and I needed every dollar. I'd been doing it for about 14 months by then, long enough that very little surprised me anymore. Long enough that my instinctive alarm system had been ground down to almost nothing. That's important. That's part of why I didn't leave when I should have. I had just moved into a new apartment. I'd been there for about 2 months. Boxes still stacked against the living room wall. I didn't know the layout yet. Which floorboards creaked, which sounds were normal, which shadows belonged where. I was learning the place the way you learn a new person's face. Not quite there yet. You know that feeling, right? When you're staying somewhere new, and every noise makes you look up. That was me. Every creak, every drip, every time the building settled. I told myself that was normal. First few months in a new place. Everyone feels that way. It was a Tuesday night, around 11:30. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth before settling in for my shift. And I noticed something. The toothbrush was wet. Not damp from drying. Wet. Recently used. The bristles were still holding water. I hadn't used it yet. I always brush before I start work. I hadn't even taken my toothbrush out of the cup. It was just already wet. I told myself I probably used it earlier and forgot. I work nights. I don't sleep well. My memory isn't great when I'm tired. I rinsed it off and brushed my teeth. It was nothing. I went to my desk. 3 monitors. Headset. Content queue. The usual. For the next 2 hours, I watched things I don't like to describe. Violence. Abuse. Things people upload because they think no one is watching. I flagged them. Wrote reports. Moved to the next one. That's the job. You stop reacting. You have to. Around 2 in the morning, I got up to stretch. Walked into the bedroom, and there was hair on my pillow. Long. Dark. Straight. I have short brown hair. No one has been in this apartment. No one has a key except me and the landlord. I picked it off the pillow. Dropped it in the trash. Hair travels. Air currents carry it everywhere. It doesn't mean someone was here. 3 hours left in the shift. I was fine. At 4:15, my phone died. The battery had been failing for months. The phone was old, but this time it dropped from 42% to 0 over the course of a few minutes. I watched the percentage fall. 42, 38, 22, 3. Black. The charger was in the bedroom. The bedroom was where I'd seen the hair. Okay. Fine. I'll walk to the bedroom, plug in my phone, come back. It's fine. The refrigerator stopped humming when I stood up. Have you ever noticed how loud your refrigerator is? Not really. Because it's constant. It's the background. You stop hearing it. But when it stops, the silence that follows isn't quiet. It's the absence of the sound that was covering everything else. And in that silence, I heard something else. Breathing. Not mine. Mine was held. This was slow. Deliberate. Controlled. From the other side of the bathroom door. I stood in my kitchen for what felt like 3 minutes. The breathing didn't stop. It didn't change rhythm at all. It just existed. On the other side of a door I had left open. I hadn't closed it. I never close it. It's my apartment. I live alone. The breathing continued. In. Out. In. Out. Too slow for a person who wasn't trying to be quiet. I needed my phone. But the charger was in the bedroom, and between me and the bedroom was that bathroom door. Open, dark on the other side, and something breathing in the dark. I told myself it was the pipes, air in the water lines, hydraulic pressure changes, but I couldn't make myself believe it. Not that time. The wet toothbrush, the hair, the phone dying, the breathing. 4 things in one night. 4 things that meant something I didn't want to name. For a moment, I actually considered just staying at my desk, just sitting back down and pretending I hadn't heard anything. That's what the job does to you. You learn to ignore things, but I couldn't. Not this time. I walked toward the bathroom, slowly, one step at a time. The breathing stopped the moment my foot touched the hallway carpet. Not faded, not changed. Stopped. Like a switch had been thrown. And in the silence that followed, I heard someone trying not to make a sound. Do you know what that sounds like? Not silence. Controlled silence. The specific quality of air being held in someone's lungs because they don't want you to know they're there. I was 3 feet from the bathroom door. The light was off inside. I couldn't see anything, but I could feel the temperature difference. The air coming through that doorway was colder than the hallway. Localized. Wrong. Like standing next to something that didn't generate its own heat. I didn't turn on the light. I walked past the bathroom. I didn't look in. I kept my eyes forward and walked straight to the bedroom, found my charger in the dark by touch, and plugged my phone in. The screen lit up. 3%. Climbing. And in the light from the phone screen, I saw the closet door open. Just a crack, maybe 2 inches. I don't leave it open. I've never left it open. The cold spot had moved. It was behind me now. Somewhere between the bathroom and the closet. I closed the closet door. I turned away. I walked back to my desk. I didn't look back. I finished my shift. I didn't look at the bathroom again. I sat in my chair and flagged violent content for 3 more hours. And I didn't turn around once. When the sun came up, I walked to the bathroom. Empty. The mirror. The sink. Nothing. No one. The toothbrush was dry. I told myself it was exhaustion. Sleep deprivation causes auditory hallucinations. I know this. It was fine. All fine. But something changed after that night. I started checking the bathroom before bed, then the closet, then under the bed, then the locks. I told myself I was just being careful, but I knew I was being scared. That was 4 months ago. I still live in the apartment. I couldn't afford to break the lease. I don't use the bathroom at night anymore. I have a routine. Everything done before midnight. Lights on, doors closed. I check the closet every night. Under the bed, the bathroom, the locks. The toothbrush hasn't been wet again. The hair hasn't come back. But I still lie awake some nights, listening. Last week, I found a piece of paper under my bed. Small. Folded in half. Yellowed at the edges. The handwriting wasn't mine. It said, "Did you sleep well?" No signature. No date. Just a question. I've lived alone for 4 months. No one has a key. The landlord hasn't been inside since the week I moved in. I don't know who wrote that note. I don't know when it got under my bed, but it was folded carefully, like someone wanted me to find it, like someone wanted me to know they had been there, that they were still there. I still live here. I still close the closet door every night. I still check the bathroom before I turn off the lights. But I don't close the bathroom door anymore. I leave it wide open, because I'd rather see it coming than spend another night wondering what's on the other side of a closed door. A closed door can hide anything. An open one. At least I'd know. At least I'd see it before it reached my bed. I haven't slept well in 4 months. I probably never will again. I just lie awake now, listening to the silence where the refrigerator hum used to be, wondering if the breathing will come back, wondering if it ever really left.